Thank God I ran out. You may be seated. Thank God I ran out. I think those of us who call ourselves old school had a moment of reflection when the news of Muhammad Ali, the greatest, passed. His immortal words float like a and sting like a was gone. Both young and old reflected on what a giant he was. Those of us who saw him fight and what he did cause us to pause and remember his death was a loss, but somewhat expected due to his long-term illness. However, when Prince, the pop singer of Purple Rain, died, y'all gonna help me. Y'all do know Purple Rain. Yeah, y'all, you young folk, y'all have heard of Purple Rain. Mm-hmm. It was one unexpected compared to Muhammad Ali's death, which was sort of expected. The fact of it all is summed up by Job, who tells us, man that is born of a woman is of few days. One must count and number our days. In other words, Job said, teach us to number our days. Is that right? No matter when death comes, it will bring about sadness and grief, but it's a whole other level of emotions when death comes knocking unexpectedly. Like Prince or someone you love. Is that right? And as I listened to the news, all you could hear was how unexpected the death of Prince was. It was like someone had dropped a bomb on the country. When something happens unexpectedly, it means that it's too soon. It's too sudden. It's too quick, and it's out of the logical order. Parents should not have to bury children. Children should bury parents. But in some cases, you are not only left to cope with the loss of a loved one, but also one must adjust to the unexpected loss of someone that you really love. And those of us who have never experienced that don't understand what's really going on. And as I listen to folk talk about the loss of Prince, especially on CNN, and this sad, unexpected loss of life, which was out of order, out of expected logical reasoning, I glean from it the following thoughts. The part of the journey of life is learning how to handle and manage the seasons of the unexpected. I think I'm going to say that again. I believe that part of learning how to live is learning how to handle and manage your seasons of the unexpected. But every last one of us can testify that if you live long enough, you will have some reasons where unexpected stuff will just pop up in your life. Am I right about it? Some unexpected stuff will just happen, and you don't even know why and how it happened. You sitting there saying, I don't think so. Well, you just keep on living. And like my grandmother used to say, you're going to know sugar from salt sooner or later without licking it. One of the reasons we don't deal well with the unexpected is because we are taught early in life about planning. We are disciplined and discipled to be planners. Even in the first grade, we were constantly asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? Y'all remember that? What do you want to do? Parents and teachers wanted to subconsciously plant in our minds about the future of a tomorrow. They started us out at an early age of thinking beyond the moment, mapping out, laying out plans and goals. Why, even in high school, you can choose electives for what you want your major to be, preparing you for college. Teaching you to plan ahead, think it out, how to move in a certain direction to achieve your ultimate goal. Even while I speak, most of you have already planned on yesterday, what you're going to do today. Most of us have apps and planners. I can't even keep my stuff straight unless Keisha helps me keep my stuff straight, and I have a planner. But as a result of being disciplined and discipled to plan ahead of time, the unexpected messes with what has become the natural proclivity to structure and comfort. Let's be honest. We hate being discomforted. We hate getting out of our comfort zone. We hate trying to do it another way when we have become so accustomed to doing it one way year after year and generation after generation. We hate change. We plan things out. And when you plan it out, you play it out in your mind. I know I do. I don't know about you. And the unexpected wasn't in the plan or equation that you played out. So as a result, a whole lot of folk have gotten messed up and never recovered in life because they didn't know how to manage what they didn't see coming or what didn't go the way they had mapped it out. The unexpected. Y'all don't have to say nothing. I just want you to think. Something that goes differently. Something that turns out in a way you didn't like it or it doesn't make you happy. Listen, an unexpected thing or twist can do one or two things. It can defeat you or develop you. Say that again. It can what? Or what? Y'all didn't say it louder. It can what? You make the determination by how you react to the situation properly or not. Because all of us have been through some situations where you mapped out how you wanted things to be, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, something pops up in the plan that God didn't warn you about. And so as a result, you are struggling, trying to manage something that wasn't in the plan of your life. It's in the text. We're all familiar with the story. Jesus turning water to wine. But there are some things about turning the water into wine I wish to try my feeble best to unpack for you while I stop by here on my way to heaven. The text, look at the text. The text says the wine ran out. What ran out? The wine ran out. In Jewish culture, the wedding reception could last days. And even for a period of weeks, the bride's family would determine how much wine was needed. Not just by the number of guests, but they would calculate how much wine they needed based on how long they anticipated the event to last. So they would purchase enough wine predicated on how long they expected to be in the reception. But the text says they ran out of wine because they miscalculated how long the event would last. Look at the text. Wine in Jewish culture is also symbolic for joy. So with that thought in mind, it means that what ran out was joy, not just wine. Let me take it a little further. In our day, we call it wine. We call wine spirits. So they ran out of a spirit that gives you joy, and they ran out of it because they didn't expect to be in the situation where they needed to have joy last that long. Whew. Have you ever been there, some issue, some situation, some predicament, some challenge, some struggle that it had lasted longer than you expected to last? Have you ever been there? You thought you would be out of it by now. You thought you'd be delivered from it by now. You thought you would be done with it by now. And because it has gone on longer than you anticipated, it has affected your joy and disrupted your spirit because you thought it would be all over by now. Woo. You thought you would be out of it by now. You thought you would be done with it by now. And because you miscalculated how long God was going to make you stay in it, it has impacted your spirit and messed with your joy. So you don't smile no more. You don't worship like you used to. You're not respectful like you once were. You are no longer nice. You are just downright mean. Children ask, what's wrong with mama? Friend says, watch out. Well, it's because you're in something that has lasted longer than you expected to last. But here comes a thought. You may not like it, but it's in the text. It's in the text. I said it's in the text. Jesus is at the reception, and the wine runs out. Oh, y'all did, y'all didn't catch that. Y'all, I'm gonna say it again. Jesus is at the reception, and the wine ran out. Listen, things can and will run out in your life, even with Jesus present. Maybe I'm too heavy this morning. You catch it next week. Yeah. I'm going to say it again. Things can and will run out in your life, even in the presence of Jesus. Jesus is there, and his presence does not stop the parading of a pragmatic predicament in your life. That ought not mess you up, but it just might make you feel good. Because it means just because I have a problem doesn't mean that I don't have Jesus. It means that Jesus is still there. That's the problem with some Christians who try to tell you because you're in a situation or a problem, it means that you don't have faith or you're not praying right or that you don't have Jesus. But that is a lie. The text tells me that Jesus is with me even when I'm at my lowest level in my life. I should be able to thank God even though I have issues. That does not mean that Jesus is not with me. Listen. We know the ending of the story before the folk in the text saw it. Oh, y'all missed that. See, Jesus is in the midst of my problem. My situation will not end, though, like it started. Can I say it again? Jesus is in the midst of my problem, but my situation will not end the way it started. Jesus is in the place, but had not yet been invited into the problem. Oh, preach, Pastor Cox. I said Jesus was in the place, but had not yet been invited into the presence. There will be times where Jesus jumps into your issue without your requesting. You think I'm lying? At the pool of Bethesda, Jesus says to the man, do you want to be made whole? Huh? Are y'all in here? Jesus jumps into this man's situation. But there are times where Jesus will wait for you to invite him into your presence. So here's my question. If Jesus is at the place where there's a problem in your life, why have somebody else not taken the problem to Jesus who is at the place? I said that this morning in Sabbath school. I'll say it one more time. If Jesus is at the place and I have not taken and asked Jesus to come into my presence, there's somebody else in the place who could immediately ask Jesus to get into my presence. It's in the text. Answer. All they know, they don't know nothing about Jesus. The bride and the bridegroom don't know nothing about Jesus. All they know about Jesus is that he is the son of Mary. His mama claims that she became pregnant by the Holy Ghost. In other words, folks say he was illegitimate. They don't know that Jesus is in the center of their situation because he had not shown forth the glory of who he was or of his identity yet. Which means this problem only receives a solution because even though the bridal party or parents don't know who Jesus is, Mary knows who Jesus is. Now, watch this. Watch this. While they didn't know Jesus, they knew Mary. So they were getting the benefit of being with somebody which was connected to Jesus. Uh-oh. Listen, make sure, listen, please, listen, make sure that in your circle you have somebody who knows Jesus better than you. Make sure you have somebody in your circle who has the power to get a prayer through. See, that person that you need in your circle must have certain qualities. They got to have certain qualities. And for some of you young folk, maybe some of us older folk, I thought it might be wise for me to give you some qualities that you ought to have people inside of your circle. Can I give you a few? I mean, inquiring mind. Can I? Okay, watch this. A real friend will make themselves an enemy to my weaknesses. Wait. Can I say it again? Because they ain't called it. See, a real friend will make themselves an enemy to my weaknesses. A real friend will refuse to let me keep living in the condition that's beneath my promised potential and value, and will offend me until I get out of that location. Oh, see, you're not my friend if you sit around and don't do anything about making me change my condition. So the party is starting to notice, there's no more wine. You hear folks saying they have invited all of us here and they don't have enough wine. They did not plan this day. You know how y'all can talk? That's how we talk. So if it's being talked about, the bride and the groom must be embarrassed because of what they let happen. They obviously miscalculated how long the party was going to last. The text doesn't say whether or not Mary saw or was told what the problem was. But she's married. So she knows what an embarrassment it would be to a newly wedded couple if things go wrong. See, Mary doesn't want them to go through that shame or embarrassment that she went through. Mary doesn't want them to be miserable. If a solution is available, she wants to help. But that's the problem with the church. We've become so self-consumed in our personal spiritual lives until it's only about me, myself, and I. I call it iitis. Therefore, I don't need people in my life who see me going through and they just sit back and watch the fallout. I don't need them kind of friends. See, I need folk in my life who will love me enough to come to my rescue. I'm looking for some Christians to say, Lord, don't just do it for me, but do it for her, do it for them, do it for everybody. Don't just let me fall on my face. I'm going to pick somebody else up. See, watch this. Listen. Real friends. Turn to your neighbor and say real friends. Oh, you ain't say it loud enough. Say it, real friends. You're still not saying it loud enough because I really want y'all to grab it. Real friends. You still, no, you ain't saying it loud. Say real friends. Listen, real friends will practice the initiation of intercession for you without your invitation. Yeah, I'm going to say it one more time. Real friends will initiate intercession on your behalf without me asking for it. I can't find anywhere in the text where Mary said to the bride or the bride's parent, do you need any help? Just you ain't going to find it. Do you mind if I help you? You can't find it in the text. You can't find anywhere in the text where Mary says to the bridegroom, will you take this problem to Jesus? Mary sees the problem, and because Mary understands there's someone in the building with the power to fix it, she doesn't go to the ones who have the problem, but she goes to the source of the one who can solve the problem. Listen. You must love me enough to take my problem to Jesus without me having to ask you to do it for me. I need prayer warriors in my life who know that I'm going through without me telling them I'm going through. They are so in touch with me and so in touch with the Lord that I will turn around and I'll find out my prayer warrior or my prayer partner said, I prayed for you the other day. I fasted for you the other day. I know you're going through and I didn't even have to ask you. Is anybody in here who can say the only reason why I made it this far is because I had somebody praying for me? I had a praying mother. Thank you. I had a praying father. Thank you. I had a praying friend. Thank you. I had a praying father, sister, brother, grandmother who was so in touch with the Spirit. But it looks like you're going through. It looks like you lost your joy. It looks like you're catching a whole lot of problems, like you're struggling. But I'm praying for your relief, praying for your joy. So I'm going to go to Jesus on your behalf. Now watch this. Watch this. Mary goes to Jesus. I really want you to get this. Mary, can I keep on? Mary goes to Jesus, and she says to Jesus, it's in the text, they have run out of wine. Is that what the text says? In other words, they have run out of joy. To put that statement into context, Jesus is a braver son than I am. I mean, Corrine and BJ and Crystal will say, when my mama says something they notice, I don't argue, I just say okay. They don't understand because they listen to me, but they don't understand that's mama. Jesus says, look at the text. He don't even call her mama. Jesus says, woman. Look, it's in the text. Jesus says, woman, what does this have to do with me? In other words, this ain't my problem. My time is not yet. But look at the text. Mary ignores. Mary ignores what Jesus says. Mary goes to the servants and says, look at the text, to the servants, go and do whatever Jesus tells you to do. Now, hold on, because I'm trying to figure this out. Why is Mary acting like he is going to do something when Jesus just said he was not? Oh, preach, Pastor Cox. They're going to catch it next week. But here's the part of the text that we miss. Even though Jesus says he was not, Jesus never said he wasn't going to do it. He just said to his mother, it wasn't my time yet. And Mary does something we need to learn. Mary uses her faith to set the stage for a miracle. She sets her faith up to make a miracle happen because Mary knows Jesus better than anyone else in the place. My question, do you have enough faith to push through and believe that while you don't know what Jesus is going to do, you want to be prepared for whatever Jesus is going to do for you. See, the problem, we teach folk how to shout about believing what he is going to do. But we don't teach folk how to be prepared to handle what Jesus is going to do. So my question, do you have enough faith to believe Jesus is going to do something and you don't know what he is going to do, but whatever Jesus is going to do, you ought to be prepared for it? Look at your neighbor and say, I don't know what Jesus is going to do, but are you going to get ready? I need to prepare. I need to practice the next step before he gets to the next step. I need to act like I'm at the next step while I'm still working on this step. I just want to be ready. Mary says to Jesus, this is not the answer I'm looking for. Question. Will you trust God when you don't like the answer Jesus gives in the same way when he said yes to what you wanted? Will you follow his directions even when his directions don't make sense and his answer wasn't what you were looking for? Will you act in accordance with his word when he's not giving you the answer you thought you would receive? I have an issue. We all say the first miracle that Jesus did was changing water to wine. But I have another thought. It's just my thought. You know, it's just pastor's thought. Look at the text. Jesus says, this doesn't have anything to do with me. That's not my problem. Then Jesus says, my hour has not yet come. This is not my time, meaning it was not time for Jesus to reveal who he was. There was a set time for that to take place, a certain schedule, and in order to fix the situation that Mary requests of Jesus to help out the problem, Jesus would need to break the schedule and show up ahead of time of which he was supposed to. You missed it. The first miracle, if you have enough faith, things you put on schedule can happen earlier than expected. See, I only want the folk to shout who will stand with me and say, God, I can't wait until next month, next year. I need it earlier than scheduled. I need it quicker than 6 months. I need it right now. Now here's another thought, and I'm going to sit down. We know that Jesus turns water into wine. But in making wine, there's a process. There's a what, everybody? There's a what, everybody? There is a what, everybody? A process to make wine. There's a process. Now, the first thing is you got to have grapes. Am I right? Secondly, the grapes got to be crushed. Thirdly, the grapes have to be crushed and then put in wine skins or wine barrels. Next, the skin and wine must be isolated and sealed so they could be fermented for a season. Oh, am I right? The text says Jesus made wine. I don't see no grapes. I don't see no crushing of the grapes. I don't see no isolation of time. The answer, Jesus produces the wine without the necessity of the process. You see, your next blessing will show up without you having to be crushed or isolated because you have been faithful in your crushing days. Y'all ain't clapping. You have been already blessed. I'm about to sit down now. I like this. I was preaching to myself. Listen. In closing, the master, it's in the text. The master of the ceremonies say, you have done something different. It's in the text. Normally, folks serve the best first, but you have served the best last. Well, they did put out their best. which was available. They didn't know there was a better best until they ran out. Can I get a witness up in here? Sometimes I got to run out of the blessing that I thought I had in order to receive the best, because the God I serve and the God that I know, yes, he's able to make things better than I could ever make it. Sometimes in life, the best I thought is not the best, because the Jesus that I have, the Jesus that I love, the Jesus that I know, he's the best of the best. He's a rock in a rock. He's a rock on the rock. He's a rock around the rock. Am I right about it? Is there anybody up in here who want to have the best? If you want to have the best, stand on your feet. Say yeah.